Hello, everybody. We're the Serious Film Critics, and we're back again. My name is Sam.
And I'm David.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 34? 33?
I don't know. Is it 33?
I think it might be 33. I don't know. I'm still thrown off from that 32. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. 33, 34, doesn't matter. We're back again. And we've got a good episode today. We're going to be talking about the Panos Cosmatos feature Mandy, which is a hot new release on VOD and in limited theaters. And really, besides that, maybe just talk about some things we've been watching, and then that's about it, guys. So, Dave, how you been? How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Not bad, man. Just working, watching a little football, not doing a whole lot. Kind of chill time, so.
Yeah, not much news out there right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, not much is going on in the movie world. We're gearing up for a pretty crazy time of year, so we got some good movies cooking, looks like.
Yeah. I think that this is going to be a pretty good year. I can't remember what else is. I mean, obviously, First Man is coming. I'm trying to remember what else, but I know there's a couple of good things I want to see. Oh, yeah, that Old Man and the Gun I'm really excited about.
Oh, yeah, that looks good. Is that Robert Redford?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that. And, what was that other one? I don't know if that Beach Bum is coming out this year, but I really want to see that.
Oh, yeah, it looks a lot like Spring Breakers, which is a good thing.
Yeah, which is definitely a good thing. I didn't see the release date for that, and I feel like I'm having a hard time finding one because I feel like I Googled it, but that is going to be good.
Yeah, I have very high hopes for that, so.
Yeah, so pretty boring Friday evening here, so let's just get into some stuff we've been watching. What do you got, Dave?
All right, so, first thing I want to talk about is I watched the Lego Batman movie. Have you seen that?
No, I didn't see that. Was it any good?
It was good. It was really good, in fact. I don't know if you saw the Lego movie. Did you?
I did. I liked it.
I mean, I would say I liked it a little bit better than the Lego movie just because I think Batman was the funniest thing in that for me. So it was really funny.
Batman was amazing in that.
I mean, the jokes really didn't get stale because they had a lot of interesting stuff going on.
So is it like a Batman story, or is it centered around things that are happening in that world with are there callbacks to other characters from the Lego movie? Like, how does it tie into Batman?
So it's definitely set like in the Lego movie universe, but it's like all the stuff that was going on in the Lego movie, it's like either not there or there's like one instance of him. You know how they were like the master builders or whatever?
Yeah, that was Chris Pratt, right?
Yeah. There's one scene of him doing that, but for the most part, it's mostly just a Batman movie. It's not really a Lego movie. I mean, it's like one of the jokes is that the Gotham City is like not held up by anything, and they're gonna like break it in half, and it's just gonna fall into an abyss. So that was kind of like a Lego joke, but they have like a really funny scene where because it's just full of references to old Batman stuff, and there's a pretty funny scene where he's listing off all these really obscure, goofy Batman villains, and a lot of them don't sound real, like Condiment Man and then Orca. There's just a whole ton of stupid ones.
Condiment Man is not
Condiment
real.
King, that's it. And he uses like mustard and ketchup or something.
That's not real, is it?
No, it's real. It's like a joke villain, but it's real.
But that's a real. Is that from the 60s one?
He might have. I can't remember if he started in the comics or on the TV show, but he's definitely like a parody.
That actually sounds amazing. I wish superhero movies had. There are some ridiculous villains like Condiment Man.
Yeah, and there's also a pretty good gag about. I mean, there's tons of callbacks to the '60s Batman. Like shark repellent, and that's like a major
I remember that one.
Gag that goes on.
So it was good, huh?
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's definitely one of the best movies I've seen in some time.
That is pretty good. Is it on Netflix right now, or had Amazon?
I think I watched it on HBO On Demand, so.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
I watched a couple things. The only thing I'll mention that is kind of a big movie, I'd actually a first time watched, it was Unbreakable. I had never seen it before.
How was that?
The M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant the Unbroken movie. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
no.
an amazing movie.
Yeah. Unbreakable, I loved it. I liked it a lot. I don't know if I'd go quite as far as say I loved it, but Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis are amazing in it.
Yeah, I definitely love that movie.
And just their two superpowers are amazing, and the fact that it is like a superhero movie, but the way it kind of toes the line is very satisfying, and it's almost realistic, the way everything plays out. I just didn't understand. Maybe you can clear this up. You've seen this a lot before, right?
Yeah, I've definitely watched it many times.
The only thing that I guess I kind of thought it was funny, and it's been like almost 2 weeks since I've watched it, so everything's a little hazy. But the very end of the movie, it's like Samuel Jackson reveals his, spoiler alert, he reveals all his plan that he had bombed all these different places and done all this bad stuff, and then Bruce Willis just kind of walks away, and then there's this weird like captioning on the screen of like what happened, like he was taken to jail or whatever, like, you know, the cops showed up. I mean, I didn't it just felt weird to me tonally. I mean, I laughed, but was that the intent of that, is to be funny? Or
no,
like,
apparently I actually like the way they did that. Apparently that's a reference to old, I don't know if it was comics or old superhero films, because they used to end them like that. I think it might be comics, because that's like a reference to something, the reason they did it like that.
It was just, that was weird to me, and it kind of threw me. Like, I laughed at it, but I wasn't even sure if I was supposed to be laughing. And I thought the joke was like, you know, in a normal superhero movie, you know, the villain can reveal his plan, but, you know, like the superhero still has to fight him or something. And then this, it's like he revealed all his plans, and then, you know, Bruce Willis just called the cops on him, and they saw all his shit and arrested him. So I thought it was like a joke. So I was kind of like, it's kind of funny, but that threw me a little bit. But other than that, I loved it. I mean, it was really interesting all the way throughout. And I miss Bruce Willis, like how he was when he was younger. Not that he's super young in this movie, but I feel like he was just funnier back in the 90s and especially the 80s, you know? And he always seems like he's grumpy in modern movies. And I don't know.
I think he's been majorly typecast. I mean, I don't know if you've seen what he's been up to, but he's been doing like some direct-to-video stuff. And I think that he pretty much has settled into like I don't want to say washed up, but he definitely is at a lower point in his career. And the only thing he does are like action cop movies now.
Yeah, I haven't seen that he's been in any direct-to-video stuff. That's pretty bad for a star of his caliber, but I've definitely, in things I've seen him in lately, it's been pretty bad. I mean, I know Adam and I went to see that, what is it? Well, the latest Die Hard movie, whatever that was.
Oh, yeah.
And this was years ago, but 3 or 4 years ago, and it was terrible. I mean, and he just seems so disinterested, almost kind of like Harrison Ford does these days in most of his stuff, you know, just like, I'm an old guy now. I'm grumpy. I don't really give a crap about any of this. I'm just making money. But this movie, watching Unbreakable just made me miss the glory days of Bruce Willis.
Well, I mean, that movie, what's it called? Glass?
Yeah.
That's going to be good.
I hope it's going to be good. And Samuel Jackson is really good in this too. I mean, he's mostly himself, but he still manages. It's one of those performances where he's himself, but M. Night Shyamalan still manages to get more out of him. I kind of equate it to like Samuel Jackson and say Django Unchained, where it's like, yeah, he's kind of playing himself, but he's still really good. It's not just Samuel Jackson. There's some other elements there that make it, you know, something more. So I loved it. Yeah, that's about it for me. What else you got?
Let me see here. I was actually trying to, because I swear I read somewhere that ending was a reference to something, but
yeah, it was just weird. I didn't know what it. I thought it was a joke initially, and but then I wasn't sure, and it just was strange to me. I mean, it didn't like really bother me that much, but I didn't know how I was supposed to react to that ending, and I just was too lazy to look up, you know, any threads on it or anything. So I just figured I'd ask you, see if you had any.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, I liked it originally, but, you know, knowing also that it's some kind of reference, you know, makes me like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I just don't know what it is. And I guess most people wouldn't get it, but, you know.
Yeah. So, what else you got?
Did I talk about John Wick 2 yet?
No.
I feel like I didn't. I watched this a while ago, but when I watched it, I really had a lot of things to say about it, so.
I haven't seen either of them, actually.
Well, the first one, you know, got amazing reviews, and I really liked the first one. It was kind of like almost like a renaissance for the action film genre, because like
the only thing I remember about it is the trailer where he's, what does he say? He's like, "Are you back?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm starting to think I'm back." That's the only thing I remember about the trailers.
I mean, the first one is really good and he kills a ton of guys, but the second one, it's like the entire movie, and did not think critics would like this. I mean, it got really good reviews. Like, all he does is kill, and it's like, it's getting to the point where he is like better than the Terminator. Like, the first movie, he's amazingly good in the first movie.
Does he literally have like superpowers, or is he just punching and shooting?
Well, he mostly just shoots people.
But he's
he
just
fights
so good.
more in the second one. The first one, he almost only shoots people. But I mean, the body count is so ridiculously high, and it's just like he literally is the Terminator. Like, he might as well just be the Terminator. It kind of started to bother me because there's really not even much plot to speak of in the second one. It's just like him, and I guess people loved all the shooting sequences in the first one, but by the second one, it's like, all right, somebody would have killed him at this point because, you know, after or this is something that bothers me about most action movies. Like, you know, if you see John Wick like cut down 300, you know, stupid goons, you're just gonna run. You're not even gonna try.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially in what scenes where it's like a million guys are attacking him. It's like if you're the 20th guy in that group, like by the time it gets to be your turn, you're not. I would be out of there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and not only that, but it's like all the guys in front of you had guns and were good too. Like, what makes you think you're going to be any different? And like,
yeah.
In the first movie, like he's like the boogeyman, like he's got a reputation. But in the second movie, it is just it gets so ridiculous how many people he kills. It's all he does. And at the end, they put a contract out on him, and they like, oh, also like all the criminal underworld stuff was so stupid. Like in the first one, there's like this hotel, and it's like a sanctuary, and all the criminals can stay there, and there's no business. And it kind of like hints that there's like this weird structure of the criminal hierarchy, and like they're all almost like a part of one organization. And the second one, they expand on it a lot, and it's like there's like suppliers. You go to like a tailor, and you like use all these euphemisms to get guns and stuff.
Oh,
but the thing that bugged me the most was like, when they wanted to put the hit out on him, they like call this like freaking person, and it's like this like office room. There are people on typewriters and like accounts payable. He's like, yeah, I want to put a hit out on John Wick, and like, all right, how much is it for? And they're like typing away on typewriters and stuff. And I was like, oh my god,
that sounds like quirky or something.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like really quirky, and I was like,
what is John Wick a hitman, or what is his myth? What's the myth behind him?
Yeah, he's a hitman, and in the first movie, they basically say that he had one final mission to get out, and he just killed like, I don't know, probably 10 million people. And in the second one, they put a hit out on him, and he kills every single person that comes after him. And then at the end, like, we're cutting you off. And all I could think was, he's literally going to kill you and every single person you send after him. He's like the god of death.
So if it's the action is this good and it's kind of redefining it, what does it do? Is it Matrix type stuff, or what? How is it framed?
The whole idea is that it's like more, well, I guess it's called like gun fu, where it's almost like the guns fighting is like martial arts style, but it's also like more realistic, where it's like, you know, he's constantly like, he's just super accurate and really quick, and he's not like, you know, dodging bullets and stuff. He's just like, he's hitting every shot, and just, you would have to watch, but the gunfights are really fancy, but they're also more believable. In the first movie, in the second movie, they're not believable at all.
So it sounds like one is better than two then.
Yeah, I definitely liked one better, and I was surprised that two got such good reception because it was just stupid. I mean, like, I liked the action, but I mean, it was like, why? I was like, just give up. Like, give up, because you can't get them.
Yeah, I'd be beating feet in the other direction as soon. As soon as I saw him do that to one other guy, I'd be gone, man.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a point where he would just, like, even in the first movie, it's like this, where it's just like, you know, this big security team, and it's like he's already killed almost everybody. That would be like a horror movie at that point.
They should make a horror movie with someone like that, like John Wick, or like a John Matrix from Commando, like that type of character, but it's a horror
like
movie.
Framed like a horror film. That's almost kind of like how Mandy is.
Yeah, from the perspective of yeah. Is Keanu good, or what is he?
Yeah, he's good in it, but I mean, really, like, all it is just nonstop killing. And I know that that's probably what people asked for, but it was like, oh my god, there's nothing else in this movie but killing.
I'd be interested to see how much training, just as an actor, you would have, you know, at gunplay and things like that. I mean, have you ever seen that famous video of Keanu where he's training? He's at like some gun range or something.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I mean, clearly that guy knows what he's doing on the gun range, and I wonder how you get all that training. I guess
something tells me, like, in real life, if he had a gun, he would be, you know, you wouldn't mind having him on your side, because I mean, he was doing all the stuff that like real soldiers do.
Yeah, I mean, he was reloading in a heartbeat. He looked like he was firing accurately, and I mean, yeah, he just looked like he knew what he was doing.
I guess it's just method acting in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah. Got anything else?
Yeah, I got a few more. And this actually brings me, I guess I'll do one more. This brings me to my last movie, Logan, which I watched. Have you seen that?
Oh man, I keep meaning to watch that, but I don't know. I always forget about it.
Yeah, well, Logan was way more violent than I expected. I did not think it was going to be nearly as violent as it was. I mean, it was like
Really?
Yeah, it was like kind of like John Wick, where it was like I mean, there was plenty of plot scenes, but it really was like almost like a nonstop bloodbath. And something they don't really show you in the trailers is the little girl has the same powers as Wolverine, and she kills like 3 times as many people as he does.
Really? Does she have the claws? Or
Yeah, she has the claws and the healing. She's getting like shot up a lot and stuff, and just like shaking it off. And it's another thing where it's like they just keep sending hordes of these like special forces guys after him, and they just kill him so fast. It's like, you cannot tell me these guys will be like, yeah, all right, well, let's just keep trying, and if you die,
yeah,
you die.
I mean, yeah, it's whatever, my life for my job.
Like, if you see this little like 8-year-old girl just like slice up 6 people in like a heartbeat, you're like, all right, yeah, I'm running because I don't want to die.
That
like,
is
no
funny.
sense of self-preservation.
I want to make a movie from the perspective of like goon number 75, who is like, what is your motivation for going? Like, even just have his have like an inner monologue constantly present. Like, should I go in there? Should I fight this guy? Or I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I mean, and, there are plenty of action movies where it is like realistic because they aren't just like cutting down. Because it's one thing where like if they dismantle like a room full of guys, it's another thing if you dismantle like a freaking platoon of guys.
Yeah,
because I mean, there are just so many movies where
and I think it's double if it's a mutant, or someone with literal superpowers. It's not even just like a really good fighter. It's a beast. It's something that is.
And like they weren't even supposed to kill her. They were supposed to capture her. And it's like they were shooting her sometimes. They're like, you can't shoot her. And it's like, you can't do anything. Like, you're dead. Like, why would you do this? And I get that this is an action movie and you have to suspend disbelief. But I think that there are ways you can do it without just making it just like with John Wick 1. It's not as like ridiculous as 2. And 1, it's like kind of believable the amount of people he kills because, he's only killing like small groups at a time. But in the second one, it's just like horde. I mean, there's a scene where he's like getting attacked by hitmen, and it's like in a row. He gets attacked by multiple ones. He just kills each one, and they keep coming.
Oh man, they're just endless. It's like a video game, pretty much.
Yeah, it is like a video game, and it's just like, all right, there are plenty of action movies like The Matrix is one that does it where it's not like that because the agents are literally unstoppable. At least there's an excuse as why they don't stop coming after you.
Yeah, because they really, they have the skills to pay. Well, and even at the end, when they realize how good he is, they get the hell out of there.
Yeah, they run. Yeah,
yeah, they don't fight him. But who do you think would win in a fight, a hippo or a Wolverine?
Wolverine. In his peak, he can get like shot in the head and stuff and not die. So.
Yeah, I don't know why that just randomly popped into my head.
No, it would take a lot more than that.
What about Old Man Logan versus a hippo?
I think he would struggle, but I think that he could probably do it. I mean, in the movie, he like has like a healing factor, but it's like way weaker. But I think it would just depend because he could get those claws into it and probably disable it pretty quick. But he would be pretty messed up. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting. So, how was it overall? Great, or I've heard amazing things about it.
See, I think that people. Part of the reason they liked it so much is because, you finally get like a mature superhero film, which is something else I can rant about is Disney getting a hold of the X-Men. You're not going to see mature X-Men movies like this anymore.
No, you're not. It's going to be cookie cutter, get Joss Whedon or somebody in there. And
if Disney had made this movie, it would be PG-13. It would have been full of quirky one-liners and it would have been unbearable. But it was good. I don't know that it was quite as good. I mean, I don't know why I got like the nomination for screenwriting because I didn't think that the script was anything to write home about. It had like an interesting plot, and you definitely were invested in it. It was good, but it didn't blow me away.
It sounds more just kind of like a genre movie, just a fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a lot of people are calling it like a road trip film, which I mean, I guess you could, but really, it was more like a slaughterhouse film because there's so much killing in it.
Man,
yeah.
Is Xavier in it?
The whole thing with him is like. So basically, like, it's based on a comic, which I think is a lot more interesting. But in the comic, they have, like, the Hulk and stuff. And then in the comic, it's, like, supervillains have taken over the world. And they basically rule over different parts of it. And the Hulk is one of the people that he's gone bad. And
is this, like, the yellow Hulk or whatever? Or is this...
Well, the Hulk isn't in this, but...
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's... He's, like, I don't know. The Hulk has, like, an inbred incest family now. And they are all permanently Hulks.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it's weird. And I can't remember what the plot is in the comic exactly, but it's similar. And basically in the movie, Xavier is like he's a senile and he has these seizures, and apparently one of them wiped out most of the X-Men in the past.
Wow.
So now he takes his medication, and in the comic it's Wolverine who did it because he was hallucinating. So he takes his medications. Basically, he doesn't have any powers anymore. And then the only mutants left really are Logan, Xavier, and this guy called Caliban. And all he does is take care of Xavier, and he can track mutants. That's his power. And I guess that they came up with some medicine or something to wipe out the mutant gene. And basically, Logan just fights it as much as he can, but he ends up helping take this little girl to Canada, and Xavier comes with him because Xavier just wants to do something, and he ends up dying.
Ah, that's sad.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everybody dies.
Man,
yeah.
I guess that might be it for the old Jackman. And
yeah, I mean, this was supposed to be it for him, which, I mean, I guess it definitely is now because Disney's taking the reins, and they're going to recast everybody, and they're going to do their stupid cookie cutter.
Oh, man. Who do you think they're going to cast for Wolverine? I'm just thinking.
I wonder if they're just going to avoid using him for a little while until, like, people forget about how good Hugh Jackman was.
Yeah. I'm not even a huge Hugh Jackman fan, but I love him as Wolverine. I mean, he's perfect for that.
Yeah, they know they have big... I mean, it's the same thing with, what's his name is Xavier.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart.
I mean, that's unbelievably hard to top. You can't top it, really.
No, I mean, he's just perfect. I mean, he's like the dream combination of someone that looks exactly the part, and obviously the performance is great too. I mean, how can you beat it?
Apparently, like when he was getting the role, somebody showed him like an X-Men comic, and he was like, "Why am I in this comic?" Because he didn't know who the character was.
That's me in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's how perfect he was.
Oh man, we'll see. I don't know. All right, man, you got anything else you want to move on to this?
No, let's, I've ranted enough about action films. I'm sure a lot of people will have issue with that. Let's just jump into this.
Alrighty, so what we're reviewing today is a recent release. It may be in a theater near you. It may not be.
Almost certainly not.
Yeah, probably not. It is on video on demand. Though, ridiculously, it randomly showed one showtime for a theater right near me, and then on opening night, and then it just was gone after that. I don't know if that was a phantom.
Yeah, the same thing happened for me where a bunch of theaters showed one showtime and then never again. So I'm wondering what that was about.
Yeah, so I looked at it and I was like, okay, I'll see this, I'll have plenty of time to see this in theaters. And then I checked the next day and it wasn't there anymore. I was like, what? So that really cheesed me off.
Yeah, but we ended up spending less money to watch it at home, so.
Yeah, it's true. So the movie is Mandy, directed by Panos Cosmatos, who did Beyond the Black Rainbow, which we reviewed not too long ago. And it stars Nicolas Cage and some other people. So, yeah, Dave, you want to lead us into this?
Yeah, so stars Nicolas Cage, Linus Roach, who actually, I knew him he was on Law & Order.
Is he Jeremiah Sand or whatever?
I don't know. He was the prosecutor. Oh, you mean the guy in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the cult guy. I don't know what his name is.
For a second, I was like, I thought you meant the prosecutor in this movie. I was like, what? What? Fuck.
Yeah, you missed the epilogue where they like prosecute him.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so apparently, I'm looking at the Wikipedia. This is set in the Shadow Mountains in California. I had no idea where it was set.
Are those real? Is that a real?
Apparently they're real.
Oh, wow. I totally thought that was made up.
Yeah, me too. And then apparently it's set in 1983, which you had no way. I guess the only way you can really know is based on that Ronald Reagan speech on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we see Red Miller, is his name. It's Nicolas Cage. He's a lumberjack in California. And he lives with his girlfriend, Mandy, the character from the title. And basically, she's an artist, and she draws all this really cool fantasy stuff, and she's into rock bands. She just seems like a pretty cool chick in general. And he's, we see them spending some time together, watching some nostalgic 80s stuff. And one day, Mandy's walking down the road, and he said his name was Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's driving down the road and with his cult guys in the van. And he sees Mandy walking down the road, and he tells them that he needs her for be his sex slave, basically. So that night he tells, I forgot what the guy, Carruthers, is that the guy that he tells to go do the deed for him, or is it Brother Swan?
I thought it was Brother Swan.
Yeah, but I think Carruthers might have been. Oh, Carruthers I'm looking at the cast. That's what's his name.
Who's Carruthers?
That's the guy that gives him the crossbow, I think.
Oh, the black guy?
Yeah, who's in whatchamacallit, Commando, which I'm sure that he cast him specifically because of that.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love him.
Yeah. So Yeah, so at first I thought this movie was going to be magical. I guess it isn't. But Brother Swan goes out and apparently, what's that horn called? They have a name for it. Like
the horn of Abraxas?
Yeah, horn of Abraxas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tells them they need a sacrifice. So they take some random fat dude in their cult and like, we're going to sacrifice him. And they blow the horn and it summons the Black Skulls, who are these like biker dudes that ride 4-wheelers and bikes. And they show up outside Mandy's home and they're thought they were not real too. But apparently there's dudes that are always permanently hopped up on LSD.
Is that what they were? I thought they were monsters.
No, they were real people. They just apparently there's some LSD they're on that makes it so they can't feel pain. Essentially,
didn't one or two of them have monster faces though, or something, or was it just?
Well, they were wearing this armor that was like covered in spikes.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, the way he killed them, they just died like normal people.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
but
so
I don't. All right, yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah. All right, so they go into Mandy's house. They kidnap Mandy and also kidnap Red, and they just hold him hostage. And they take Mandy back, and I guess they give her these. They drop something in her eye and sting her with some kind of weird bug. I guess to like make her submissive.
Yeah.
And then good old Jeremiah comes in and starts playing his weird music, and I don't know why she just starts laughing at him. I guess because of his dick that's out for some reason.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so he gets really angry, and then he takes Mandy to where Red is and burns her alive in front of him. And then they just leave Red, basically, because they have better things to do. So the next day, or that night, Red gets out, goes to bed, and wakes up in the morning and visits his pal Carruthers and gets, what's the crossbow called? The Reaper?
Yeah.
Gets his handy crossbow, the Reaper, and then he forges his giant axe. And Carruthers tells him that the Black Skulls are like these biker gang that basically tells them they can't feel pain because they have some special drug that they're permanently on. So he gets the Reaper. He snipes one guy off his bike with his crossbow and then runs him over with his truck, but wrecks himself in the process. And then he wakes up and he's got he basically captured again, and this guy's coming up to torture him, and he gets loose, knocks him down into the pit of misery, which was pretty good. He goes into the living room and tussles with another guy and kills him pretty good. Then he kills his friend. Then he takes some of the special LSD, which gives him a vision of some drug dealer called the Chemist, apparently. He goes and visits him, and he tells him where to find the cult. And then he goes and visits the cult and kills them pretty easily, has a pretty epic chainsaw fight with this big dude. And then the film ends with he goes into this church underground to find Jeremiah, who begs for his life, and then he crushes his head with his bare hands.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's the movie.
Yeah. It sounds short, but it's actually long.
Yeah, it is. All right. What are you you want me to start, or what are your general
Let me start by saying I did like it, but I definitely don't think I liked it as much as most people. And my number one issue was that it was too long, and the pacing would randomly slow down for no reason.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, man. I'm gonna drop the hammer. I thought this was a piece of hot garbage. I freaking hated it. There's so much to get into. I'm just so disappointed because this movie was on my. I don't know if it was on my top 5 list because I don't remember if either of us knew about it at the time, but it would have been. And I loved the trailer. I thought the trailer looked amazing. This movie was just a wet noodle for me. So I've seen 2 of this guy's movies now, Panos Cosmatos, this and Beyond the Black Rainbow, and my biggest complaint with his movies are they're too long and they're boring. I was just bored during this, and I never thought I would be bored watching the trailer for this thing. I thought it looked amazing, and I'm trying to think how I want to get into this. The things I liked Nicolas Cage. I thought he was good. I thought he was good in the movie, but he wasn't in it enough. He's not even in it that much for the first hour of the movie. And when he is in it, at that point, I didn't really care about. There's just so many things for me to get into here. I'm trying to think where I want to start. Firstly, I didn't really care about his relationship with Mandy. I just didn't. I felt like that wasn't established enough.
Which is really weird for me because they spent a lot of time in the beginning of the movie together, but we got nothing out of it.
Yeah, it was just they were basically had like high conversations, like, oh, what's your favorite planet, man? And like, oh, like, what are you drawing there? A jungle temple? Like, I just didn't get. I mean, it was kind of funny, but I didn't get anything really from the relationship. So when she's killed, yeah, I mean, it's kind of gruesome and disturbing the way she's killed, and his reactions are good to it. But I just didn't care about their relationship. So when it happened, it didn't really matter to me. So the whole vengeance plot line just didn't do anything for me because I didn't care about the relationship. And then the second half of the movie, I just thought a lot of the fights were not that interesting. I like the idea of it. Like if you told me the plot of this movie and just in general, like, oh, Nicolas Cage, his wife gets brutally killed, and then he's on he goes total crazy Cage and just freaking kills all these demon guys. Like, that sounds great, but the way it plays out was just boring to me, and I was just not into it. And I think it's partly I don't really like this guy's cinematography style. I'm realizing it. This movie was just too bleak to me, and the same with Beyond the Black Rainbow. I actually liked the visuals in Beyond the Black Rainbow better than this. There wasn't that much that stood out to me in this one, and this guy just, to me, throws a frickin' fog machine and puts on some, red or blue lighting, and that's all he does in like every scene, and it got really old to me. I felt like I was just wading through a quagmire. Like his scenes are just so long, and I'm just ranting at this point. Like I have so many thoughts on this, but I just didn't like it at all. I'll let you get back into it for a bit. But
all right. So I did like it, and the main reason was because of the visuals. One scene I thought was, and this is when I really liked it in the beginning, and then it kept slowing down. I really liked the scene when the Black Skulls were kidnapping her.
Yeah, that was cool.
So, and that was I thought that was one of the more interesting scenes I've ever seen. I just liked the way it was shot. It was really tense.
I did like the moment too where he looks out into the woods, and it's just something about the way that shot. It was just very eerie, like you knew something was coming.
And I thought the rest of the film was going to be that intense, but it wasn't.
Yeah, there are moments that I liked in this movie. There are a lot of little moments, but they're just nothing was cohesive enough for me. Nothing tied together. There were a lot of points in this movie where I was like, okay, this is going to get good now. And I would perk up, and then it would just lose me again. And this happened a lot of times in the movie, and it just never was able to stay together long enough for me to care. And I think another problem with me is they spent, for my taste, way too much time with this cult in the beginning. I did not give a crap about the cult. I didn't think it was that interesting. The scenes were so slow.
The worst one for that dragged was when he was trying to seduce her. That scene went on forever.
That was brutal, man. And the way it was shot with because she had been stung, it's like that fuzzy cinematography, and the camera was all fuzzy, and it just, he was hard to understand in that scene. I just did not care, and it took forever in that scene. And then the way she laughs at him was so random, and she seemed evil in that scene, and I didn't understand. I guess she was just laughing at him, but the way it was shot was just bizarre, and it was just an eerie, almost like a horror element to it. And that's the last time you're with this character before she's killed. So it's like that, having that as the last image of her, and then she's killed. I just didn't care that she died. And I thought she was kind of cool. I liked when she had the Black Sabbath t-shirt on, and she was drawing funny, cool stuff, but I still just didn't get a firm grasp of that character, and I didn't get a firm enough grasp of her relationship with Nicolas Cage to really care that she was killed. So by the time she died, I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. It was a cool shot of her skull being blown away in the wind. And again, that's my problem, is there are a lot of moments that I liked, when Nicolas Cage watches the Cheddar Goblin. I thought that was amazing. He's freaking out. He's like, oh, Cheddar Goblin. I love that. That was awesome. I did really like the part when right after she's killed, when he has the vodka and he's just drinking it and pouring it on himself and freaking out. I thought that was really good. But, I like when he builds the battle axe. I thought that little tiny part was amazing. But there were just too many little moments that I liked. But as a whole, I just freaking hated it. I didn't do anything for me. I don't know. And I didn't think the score was nearly as good as Beyond the Black Rainbow, which I loved the score in that. And this was like, it was fine, but it didn't really do anything for me.
There's actually something I was thinking about. I can't even watch it now because my rental's expired. But I think that part of the problem with those fights, not the chainsaw one, I think that one might have had music. I don't think that most of those fights had any music playing. And I think that may have been why they felt kind of anticlimactic, because most of the fights, I actually liked most of them. They felt very anticlimactic the way that they were filmed and played out. And I think that there was no music playing when they were happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly the reason, was that there was no music during the fight, so it was just weird.
Yeah, the fights all felt anticlimactic to me, and it was just those, like, another part that I liked was when those Black Skulls were first introduced, when he blows the horn and they show up and he kind of has that weird ethereal voice and, you know, he demands blood for blood. I thought that was cool, but I don't, you know, it's like I didn't get enough out of those guys for them to be the main villains for the rest of the movie. So when Nicolas Cage goes after them one by one, I don't really know anything about them. I mean, they kind of look cool, but you know, I just didn't care. And then the fights themselves were anticlimactic. So I just felt myself getting bored. And something I didn't think I would think about this movie is I didn't think it went far enough in the second half. I mean, I thought it was going to get crazy, and I wanted it to. And yeah, music could have helped if they had crazy music playing during the fights. And
I think if the pacing is what killed, because I still think it was the reason I liked it is because it was one of the craziest movies I've seen in a while. But the pacing just killed the tone, I think, because it's like it was just too slow during those fights, and I think that's why they felt so anticlimactic.
Yeah, and it just was him just going from person to person there, and it just lost me. And I mean, I still liked it better than the first half because, again, the first half I really liked, I'd say, the first like 10 minutes of the movie, the initial setup and that song that plays at the beginning. I was like, this is going to be good. And then once it started getting involved with that cult, I was just checking out. Like, I did not care. I didn't think the performances were all that great by any of those cult members. And the tone was weird because in Beyond the Black Rainbow, everything was oppressively bleak, and I didn't like that. You know, again, it felt like I was wading through quicksand or something, which I also felt in this movie, but occasionally the cult members would say something that almost seemed funny, and it just didn't work for me. I didn't find them funny at all. I thought they were annoying, and I thought parts of the scenes with them were pretentious, which I also felt in Beyond the Black Rainbow. And I just didn't care at all about the cult. If I wish that the first half of the movie had focused a lot less on the cult and focused more on Nicolas Cage, because I liked his character. I just didn't get enough out of him. I didn't get to know him enough. I wish I had seen him as a lumberjack more, and, you know, I wish I had seen more scenes of him with Mandy. You know, I wish there had been more character building there so that when she's killed, I would have really been invested in her death, and then, you know, that his rampage at the end would have been more satisfying to me. But I just didn't give a shit when he ends up killing all of them, and the fights themselves weren't cool enough for me to bring me back into it. It just was still kind of like, okay, I wish they had pushed it even further. I mean, I wanted some insane violence and just, you know, nuttiness, and you get some of that. I mean, you know, he does build the battle axe, and, you know, he's freaking out, and he, you know, fights with the chainsaw, but I could have had it go even further. And for me, I needed it to go further to bring me back out of the haze that I was in while watching it. So
see, it's like I have all the exact same complaints as you. Like, I think the fight should have been crazier. I want to get into the fights in a second.
Yeah.
But I do think that even though those fights weren't crazy enough for me, I still think it was the whole time I was like, this is a crazy movie. And I still feel like, you know, even the pacing is what killed it. In fact, I think if you chopped like 20 minutes off this film, you could significantly make it better. But
that's another thing. This movie could have been, I think, 30 minutes shorter, easy. I think if this had been a clean like hour and a half, 90 minutes, I think it would have been better as well.
I mean, the main issue is like while he's going out and killing, it would just randomly slow down. Like, remember when he wakes up and sees the frog? I didn't think that scene served any purpose.
Yeah, no, and parts of it felt pretentious and just, you know, like I didn't need that in this. I didn't need those scenes. You know, I didn't need the scene of Jeremiah Sand going on about who God knows what, a stupid drug-induced, you know, pseudo-intellectual rants. Like, I didn't need, and it just wasn't interesting to me, like any of that stuff. I just wanted, you know, just establish the evil cult. Yeah, we get it, they're evil. I like some of the little things. Like I like the bee that stings her, and I like that they put drops in her eye without really explaining it. Like that stuff was cool, but just do more stuff like that and less, bullshit philosophical crap, and establish their evil, and then have Nicolas Cage just frickin' go crazy on these guys. Like I felt like I liked him in the movie. He was my favorite part, but I still feel like it was a missed opportunity. I still feel like he could have been crazier, and I also feel like he could have been in it more. There wasn't enough Cage for me in this movie.
I think that remember the guy that he like sticks the spike through his mouth? I think he should have butchered that guy in like a much more.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really vicious how he killed him.
It was vicious, but it's like, man, they could have done more. Like I like in this, especially in this kind of movie, which is going for almost like a crazy grindhouse kind of 70s type feel. Like just go freaking nuts. I mean, I want to see him dismembering these, Argonauts or whatever the hell they are. And,
yeah.
I want him to go nuts on him, and I want Cage like screaming and like freaking out and yelling. And I mean, he does all that, but again, it wasn't enough for me. But I still liked him in it. And I think the thing I liked about Nicolas Cage is, which I haven't felt with any other character in either of Panos Cosmatos' movies, is he brought humanity to it. Like, everybody else I felt like was just lifeless. And Beyond the Black Rainbow, everybody felt lifeless and weird. This movie, everybody felt lifeless and weird. And I felt like Nicolas Cage was actually a guy. Like, I actually felt some kind of connection. I don't know about connection, but I felt like he was a real living, breathing person. And I just wish we had gotten more out of him. I wish they'd let him go crazy and just, be in the movie more at the very least. But this movie, it felt a lot like Beyond the Black Rainbow in the first half. I didn't even think it was that original, at least compared to his other movie. It felt like it was the same damn thing. It's just another cult.
Yeah, he's very into the 80s, which is fine, but that's his entire identity of his movies.
And the 80s thing is fine with me, but it even felt like the same theme with the cult. Like it was the same kind of just a weird cult with the same weird kind of cult leader just talking about weird philosophical crap. And it just was not that interesting to me. And I mean, I don't know. And then I hated the ending with him at the end
that was a weak point by far.
Yeah, the ending sucked to me, where that last confrontation with Jeremiah Sand was just... it was just the worst. I hated it. I didn't think it was interesting. And then I don't know what the ending was. Like he's on another planet or something. It's supposed to be a reference to that poem she reads or whatever, or that passage from the book, I guess.
I don't know. Maybe it was the LSD was kicking in.
It was kicking in. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
All right. So let me just make some counterpoints to some of the stuff. So with the fighting, I did have the same issue you did, but I think that what he was trying to do with those fights, and this is maybe why I did like them, I think he was trying to make the fights feel a lot more real, and they were pretty real, because first of all, I loved how he fought the one dude where he did the leg sweep on him with the axe.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty good. And I mean, it was just like when he was like fighting them, it felt like it was really slow and like kind of clumsy. But I think that may have been the point. But it was like, it didn't make sense in the context of the film. It should have been like, fast paced and kinetic and, with music playing and like tons of, and then the chainsaw fight, which I liked. I love the way the chainsaw fight looked, because, it was like, he very much had like the whole, like, it's like dark and it's like almost like the showdown with the two chainsaws. And then it's like he gets punched once and he goes down and he has to like take his time getting back up. So it was like, I think he wanted to do realistic fights, but and I like that the way they worked, but I think that he has like a problem with pacing. Obviously we've gotten into that, and he has a problem with tension too, and I don't know, it's just like, it's like they didn't work, but they also worked to some degree. What else was I gonna say? And also, you've been saying it a little bit, Cage may not have been crazy enough in this film, but he was crazy. Like, he's like screaming, and like he's like getting blood all over his face, and
he is crazy. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. And say a normal moviegoer who doesn't watch a lot of movies or hasn't seen a lot of Cage movies in general, I'm sure they would think he's batshit in this. And I mean, he is, but it just
I don't know. Gone a lot further.
I just get this feeling that he could have done so much more. Like if I wanted him to be just next level, and I mean, and he is crazy, but it was not enough for me.
The fights didn't match up with his craziness, I think, because the fights were like deliberate and slow, but it's like he's like screaming and he's like snorting. He takes this giant mound of cocaine and snorts.
Yeah, and like I love that. I loved when he snorts the cocaine. Like, and again, there are moments like that. I like that. I love where he lights the cigarette off the guy's his head,
the guy's burning head or whatever.
Yeah, like I love that. I love when he yells. When he freaks out at the thing for ripping his shirt, he's like, "Oh, you ripped my shirt!" Like, that was great, but I wanted just much more of that. And this movie to me was not the kind of movie to go realistic on in terms of the fights. Like, I want crazy fights. I also didn't realize that those guys were human. I thought those things were some kind of monster or maybe they were human once, but I literally thought they were demons from.
Like, I feel like that was a bad setup for them because we definitely thought they were supernatural. I mean, they blew a freaking horn to summon them and then sacrificed the guy.
Like that. They did not seem human to me, and I think that's the other thing is like these guys are the main villains that are being fought in the second half of the movie. And maybe, again, instead of focusing on bullshit with the cult in the first half, establish those guys more. Like, another thing I really wanted to see, considering the kind of movie it was, I wanted to see that fat guy being sacrificed to him.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of a letdown. I wanted to know what they were going to do with him.
I thought that was going to be a bit like a scene. I thought that we were going to get to see that guy be sacrificed to those things, and I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, because I was really curious what was going to happen with that.
Yeah, and
I thought it was going to be like a demonic
anything.
offering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that first scene, they come up demonically, and that guy's voice does not really sound human. He's, blood for blood. Like, I wanted to see that guy being offered to them, and you don't get to see that. Like, I feel like this movie was crazy, but it just felt too restrained for me at times. I feel like it just, considering what the movie offers to you, I feel like it could have been a lot crazier. Like, yes, it is much crazier than just some average movie for sure. But considering the things that the can that it opens up, I feel like it could have been, they could have torn the lid off and just poured nutso sauce all over us, and they just didn't do it.
Well, it's like, just like, it was really satisfying to see him kill those bikers, but it just wasn't that satisfying because of the way he did it. Like, I was really excited to see him go in there and take those guys out, but it just, the way he did it, like, I liked the fights, but it just didn't feel like, felt like it should have been different. Like, he should have been in there, like, swinging his axe and decapitating dudes and stuff, instead of just like, like the one guy, how he kills him and he's just like pouring blood all over his face, but I don't know.
Yeah, that was good. Again, it's just, what's frustrating to me is, to me, there was a great movie in there, or like it could have been made.
There's a great movie waiting to be made.
But for me, I know you liked it. For me, it was just shit, and that's what's so frustrating. Is like there were elements of it, there were moments and lines of dialogue that I loved, and there were things that I was ready to latch onto, and it totally let me down every time. I mean. So it ended up just being frustrating. I mean, even when he goes and visits the guy from Predator, like, I kind of like that part. I was like, okay, this is like really setting things up. And then it just, I don't know, it bogged down again. I mean, again, my biggest problem with this director is I find his movies boring. I kept getting restless during this in a very similar way I did to Beyond the Black Rainbow. The pacing just isn't right in his movies. And
I mean, this one, I don't know. Yeah, it was way worse than this one, just because the pacing in this one hurt the tension just so much, really.
Yeah, I just found myself continuing to get restless, and every time I thought I was going to get into it, it lost me again. I'm trying to think other things.
I mean, in terms of the visuals for me, I did like them a lot. Especially, the one where they got kidnapped. I like the chainsaw fight. I thought that was really cool visually. I mean, overall, I thought it did have good visuals. And then, we talked about Cage's performance. I don't know.
What did you think of Mandy? I just didn't. I didn't. I mean, in a way, she was cool, but in another way, I just felt like. Maybe it was just because she was kind of like metal and like goth or whatever. I just feel like they made her almost too, I don't want to say creepy, but I just didn't necessarily buy her with Nicolas Cage. And again, maybe it's just because they didn't have enough screen time together. They didn't have enough another moment that I liked. I liked when you saw them sitting there just watching TV before the guys came, like, and they had their TV dinners. Like, that was a moment that I liked, and I needed more from them for me to feel for them as a couple, and I just didn't get it. And I felt like her performance, they almost made her look too creepy for me to know what was going on with her. I almost felt like, okay, is she gonna be evil, or is she gonna, and especially after that last moment where she has that weird laugh at the cult leader, I didn't know what her character was, or like what they were going for with that character. And then she's killed right after that, and then she's just dead. And it's not that I don't think her performance was bad. I just wasn't crazy about the writing and the costuming for that character for me to be able to get behind her.
I honestly thought they were going to do like a switch because, they put her in the bag and burn her. And I was almost expecting, and I'm kind of glad they didn't do this, her to like show up at the end and be like, brainwashed by the cult or something.
Yeah. I thought something might be up there too, because I was like, all right, they're not showing her here. It's just a bag. So maybe she's still alive. But then now she's just dead.
Yeah, she's dead. All right.
Yeah, she did. That's it. I'm just not really a fan of this director. I mean, Beyond the Black Rainbow had enough in it to intrigue me that I was excited for this, and I thought maybe it was just a one-off, but for me, this director just has... For me, this was like Beyond the Black Rainbow, except I had even more problems with it. So I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Big disappointment.
So, guess you ready to put a rating on this?
Yeah. Let's throw a rating on this bad boy. What are you doing?
I'm going with a 7. I did like it.
It's a 3 for me.
Ooh, that's harsh.
It was.
Did you like it better or worse than Fallen Kingdom?
Fallen Kingdom?
Yeah.
Here's the thing with this movie. A 3 is a very low rating. I did not enjoy it at all. I respect this movie more than, say, Fallen Kingdom or, other crap movie, other movies I've rated lowly. I think this movie has one thing I will give the director. He does have a vision. I mean, I won't deny that. He's not just a boring director that brings nothing to the table. He brings stuff to the table. It's just clearly... I'm starting to realize it's mostly not stuff that I like. And I think the things from Beyond the Black Rainbow that I did like were not enough of a factor in this. And I actually think it was downgraded from that. So this director really just isn't for me. But I do respect parts of the movie, and I think there are flourishes in there that are really good. But I would rather watch Fallen Kingdom again than watch this. I'm not going to lie. I would rather just throw that on and... I would, yeah. Because it's a movie I can just throw on, and I didn't like it at all, but I can just turn my brain off and be like, dinosaurs. Like this, it was a slog to get through for me, man. I don't know. Like it felt like work watching this movie, and it just was not good. So again, I have a level of respect for it that I wouldn't for something like Fallen Kingdom, but as far as which would I rather watch, I would honestly rather watch Fallen Kingdom again than this.
Well, it's definitely a big difference of opinions. I did like a lot of the things he did.
Yeah, but I am interested that you did have some of the same issues that I did, though. I thought I don't know. I guess it was just much more of a problem for me.
I just think that for me, if the movie didn't have those issues, it would have been one of my favorite movies ever. Instead, it's like, all right, well, it's pretty good. For you, obviously, it was like they broke the movie.
Yeah, it broke the movie, but it's like I like this Nicolas Cage. I like Nicolas Cage, and especially when he's crazy. I think he's a really good actor. Like he can, again, like to me, both of these movies were filled with lifeless, pretentious characters, and Nicolas Cage to me was just such a step up acting wise. And he doesn't even have that much dialogue, but him just being in it, I was like, okay, this guy knows how. This guy is a real actor. I felt for his character just based on his physical performance. So I want him to be, in the spotlight again. I think he's a really good actor. And if you give him, material, especially that allows him to emote a lot, he can be really good still. I think that proves it. I mean, unfortunately, he's been lost in the schlock of, Left Behind and all those kinds of movies.
Yeah, I know his career has definitely been at a standstill in terms of that. But
he's got talent. I mean, he is really interesting to watch if you put him in the right movie. And for me, the idea of this movie was right. It's just the execution was just not good. But oh well, c'est la vie.
Yeah.
Alrighty, man. You got anything else you want to
No, I think we can call it.
skedaddle? Alrighty, guys. Well, we'll be back soon. I don't know what we're gonna review next. We might end up picking something off Netflix, or I don't know. We'll have to see what's in theaters. I'm not hearing much good about The Predator. I don't know if we need to do that.
I really feel like skipping that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think we'll skip over that bad boy. But lots of good stuff's coming out, so stay tuned for some awesome episodes up and coming. So follow us on Twitter at Serious _critics, on Facebook under Serious Film Critics. Send us your emails at seriousfilmcritics@gmail.com. Maybe we'll do some emails next episode. And alrighty, guys, as always, take it easy.